have the electoral college. You have to get so many college votes in order to win that presidency. And of course, he got the popular vote as well with this current president who is sitting in the office of President of the United States. He's not president of the Bahamas. Let me make that very clear, because some of you get things all mixed up. And some of you are calling for Mr. Donald Trump to assist us with some of the problems we have in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I heard a talk show host yesterday. His entire episode was about appealing to the United States of America. It reminded me of what Sir Lyndon did some time ago when he said, "I've come to America." Now, whether he got any answers and what he went for, we'll have to analyze that when we talk about him. But Bahamians, we have very serious issues. We're going to need assistance in dealing with these problems because the personalities whom you have elected are not paying close attention to dealing with these major national problems. So we have to find a way to fix it. And we can fix it, Bahamians. We have been talking about it for some time. The airwaves are open. Some of you have still been a little afraid to speak your mind. The Constitution guarantees you freedom of expression, freedom to impart ideas and opinions. That's exactly what they are, ideas and opinions without interference. That's entrenched in your Constitution. Many of you don't use that aspect of it. There are other things entrenched in the Constitution which speaks for freedom of expression. I don't think you're using it sufficiently. In fact, even with myself, I'm not even using 5% of my constitutional authority because the Constitution restrains me in a lot of areas where I would like to move, but I have to get the cooperation of the people in order to do that. So I'm going to appeal very strongly to you because, Bahamians, there are some very specific things that Professor Sidney Walter Thompson desires to do and must do in order to save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I need your cooperation, your strong financial support. Let me put that right on the top of the list. You are listening to the show and you tell me, "Professor, you're doing a good job," and all that. That's very nice. I'm happy to hear that. You're learning a whole lot of things because let me tell you something, there are a lot of things that I have not yet been able to touch because we need a strong research committee to be able to deal with that. I told you some time ago I need 49. We have a whole lot of stuff to unearth, Bahamians. We have to check every single thing to make sure it is factual, to make sure it's accurate. We don't want no artificial intelligence in here. We don't work with that. Although there are some problems that are being developed in this upcoming election, and in fact, apparently it has started already, where persons out there are taking the voices of persons and making up messages using the voice of that particular personality or pretending to be that particular personality, and they are not. And that's fraud. And I think we just can't say that's artificial intelligence. We've got to stop people from impersonating. See, if I were to go out there and impersonate the Prime Minister, the police will arrest me, say, "You're not the Prime Minister." But artificial intelligence is doing the same thing. Impersonating persons, causing trouble. Those of us like myself in the broadcasting industry, we have to have protection. We cannot have people using our voices because my voice is heard all the time, virtually every day on radio. And I certainly don't want my voice to be used in the wrong way. They have no permission to do that. But I understand there have been persons impersonating, and sometimes the quality is so poor, you would recognize that it is not the person that they are purporting to be. And there are some who are even slicker, and they seem to be, or it would appear to be, as if the information is genuine. They sound exactly like the real person, as has happened to one high up in the judiciary. It has been reported that the particular personality said that that is not that particular personality. Bahamians, we are in trouble in this country. And today I want to cover all of the 5 prime ministers. The office of prime minister is a very serious office. It's a constitutional office. And there are many out there who have their messages, and we will tell you to bring that right here to Global Radio 99.5 FM. You are losing time. Those of you who have these ideas and information, you need to get it out right away. I've heard that there's only one particular personality who knows when an election should be held. So everybody is held hostage to that. I believe we may have to make a constitutional amendment to have a firm date for general elections in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We don't need to be guessing. We ought to know exactly when it is going to come, 5 years down the road, the length of time, when it should be. That should be crystal clear. But those who've had the authority to run this country have not brought it to the fore. And I don't think the Bahamian electorate has put the kind of pressure on the government of the Bahamas. Some people have made some statements on the airwaves, and that's fine. That's a help. But it takes more than that, Bahamians. I've been speaking to a number of issues which are factual, which are accurate, which are precise. You don't hear it anywhere on any other radio station in the country. They're into some other things. They'll broadcast music, but they will not be prepared to deal with the hardcore issues that afflict the Bahamian people and what it is you can do about it. Because there are some specific things, Bahamians, that must be done in order to save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Otherwise, we may not have a nation anymore. That's how serious it is. Now, there are some who are calling for the President of the United States to intervene. I'm going to call on God to intervene, and God knows exactly what to do with the flood of illegal aliens in this country. If the authorities, those who are in authority now, fail to deal with the matter. So far, they have failed miserably. It looks as if it doesn't even exist with them. There are some who would tell you that it would appear as if the country is being hijacked with strangers, foreigners, aliens, outsiders, persons being added to the voter registration list. Now, voter registration is a serious matter. And we know from the Constitution that only Bahamians, citizens, are eligible to vote, provided they are on the register of voters or potential voters. It says register of voters. You can be on the register. You can put your name in there and get registered, but you may not necessarily vote. So I would call it a register of potential voters. In other words, these particular personalities have the opportunity to participate in the parliamentary process. And it's done by constituencies. So if you're looking at the leader of a political party, that particular personality will have to run in a particular constituency. And that particular individual will have to get the overwhelming majority, let's say 50% plus one, minimum to win that seat. Remember this bill that was passed in the House in the United States was passed by one vote, just one. An election in a particular constituency can be won by one single vote, 50% plus one. That's how close it can be. Now, in the last election, you saw where we had many, many people offering themselves to run in the election. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. But let me give it to you straight, Bahamians. If you take that same approach, this election, like you did in the last one, you're going to get the same results that you got in the last election. It won't change anything, Bahamians. You have to get serious if you really and truly want to see change in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Two major parties have dominated the scene for the entire 52-year span, and even before then, all the way back to January the 10th, 1967. One political party has been in the House of Assembly and in the Senate for 70 years. I don't think a lot of you think about that, you know. In other words, that particular party has been in the House of Assembly and in the Senate every single time, having personalities in those seats in the Senate and in the House and also in the government and in opposition for 70 years. The other political party has been around with the same thing 50-something years, 50 plus years. So these both political parties who have had the opportunity to govern this place have had widespread support. In fact, when you look at the last two elections under Dr. Minnis, 35 seats that particular party won, 35 seats in the House of Assembly. The opposition had 4 seats. That's a total of 39 seats in the chamber. In the last election, the opposite came, 32 seats for the Progressive Liberal Party, and we understand many of you did not participate in the parliamentary process. And let me just say this to you right now. Staying home and getting vexed with a particular political party because you don't like this, you don't like that, instead of looking at the big picture. Most of you don't see the big picture. If you genuinely want change, you have to fight for that. Those who are holding on to power are not going to give it to you voluntarily. Now, there's a way to get it, you know. The Constitution shows you exactly how to do that. But a lot of you get vexed because you have a personal difference with another particular personality, and then you end up splitting the votes. And so even though they may have a minority of the total potential votes that could be coming out, you decide to do some stupid things, and then we have the same result again in the upcoming election. Now you should learn sense. It doesn't make any sense for those smaller parties, and some of them are just budding up right now. Bahamians, you got to get serious. People are not going to trust you because they will say you just come. You just don't show any stability. You have not gone through the fire. And then you see all these different names. There's nothing wrong with them wanting to run in the election. But what are you running for? Just to say you participate? and then you come back complaining after the results you get, because you can get the same results you got in the last one. It can be no different. So something is wrong with that. We have given political parties massive landslides of seats to our detriment. You haven't seen any major constituency problems solved all over the Commonwealth of the Bahamas 52 years later. No major national problems having been solved by the government of the Bahamas over the last 52 years. But you gave them the power. You gave them widespread powers. But you did not check up on the government of the Bahamas. You did not check up on the Parliament of the Bahamas. Parliament consists of Her Majesty the Queen. But you got one king there now. So we got to make an amendment to our Constitution. Our Constitution says Her Majesty the Queen. The Bahamas, we haven't fixed that yet. The Queen has been gone for some time now. But they have a king in England. They made amendment to their constitution. You won't see the Queen there anymore. The king is there. And we sit right back here in this country and allow this kind of crap to just sit on top of us. Nobody does anything about it. Nobody. That's our weak spot, Bahamians. That is how a government is able to get away with a lot of crap, and the Parliament able to get away with a lot of crap because we don't put pressure on them to bring about a referendum so we can change it. You can't change these things in the Constitution, particularly when it relates to Her Majesty the Queen. It's all through the document. You know how many articles you're going to have to change? With Her Majesty the Queen, you got to change all of them. We now have a king. We have to face the facts as they are, Bahamians. We have to change with the times. We can't leave our supreme law in limbo. That doesn't make any sense. 52 years down the road, you can be reading Her Majesty the Queen, when there may have been several successions to her. We have to change it, Bahamians, so it is up to date. So that aspect of the Constitution has to change. You look at the office of Prime Minister, and a lot of you have been complaining about the fact that the Prime Minister or the particular personality in the office of Prime Minister exercises all this power and authority. And then they say it's not the cabinet, it's the Prime Minister. When the Constitution says the cabinet has overall direction and overall control of the government. It didn't say the Prime Minister has that, you know. And if the cabinet allows that particular personality to usurp the cabinet authority, then they have a right to put him out or put her out. They have the power in their hand to do it. It is constitutionally sound. It didn't say the Prime Minister has overall direction and control. It says the cabinet has overall direction and control of the government. And when we can get it right. And then you would have former minister would have said, oh, it was the Prime Minister. When I read the Constitution, I don't see that. Now, the Prime Minister has a specific function to perform. Yes, I'm not knocking that. But then there must be checks and balances to make sure that the particular personality in the office of Prime Minister carries out constitutional functions according to the Constitution. And I must tell you that some things are not constitutionally sound. But how many of you understand that? You can't just keep complaining all the time, but take no action to stop it. It's going to take the electorate the electors, as mentioned in the Constitution, to prevent it from happening. And the Constitution is clear how one becomes prime minister. One has to be a member of the House of Assembly. And there are two specific main functions that are mentioned in the Constitution in relation to the personality in the office of prime minister. And there are only two Bahamians. The leader of the party, if that individual is in the House, the leader of the party that commands the majority of the members of that House at that particular time. That's one. The leader of the party that commands the majority of the members of that House. And you've seen how these political parties have been operating. They have their leader. They want their leader to be seated in the House. So that means if there are others who want to get that office, number one, you got to be the leader of the particular party in order to get the office. So all those others who may want it can't get it. And sometimes you wonder, when these particular personalities do things, are they performing as leader of that particular political party or performing the function of the office of prime minister, or because they got other offices too now. You got to look how this thing go. Minister of Finance, don't you see the particular personality in the office of prime minister has gobbled up the office of Minister of Finance? Don't you see that, Bahamians? And when there are laws that talk about consultation between the prime minister and the minister of finance, it becomes a farce. It becomes a fake. You know why? Because one person holds two powerful offices. Minister of Finance, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So when you see the particular personality talking, the particular personality is either talking to the Minister of Finance or the Prime Minister. Which is it? There's only one person, right? Sitting in the two big offices in the cabinet. When the Prime Minister ought to consult the Minister of Finance, and he wants advice from the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Finance may have to consult with the Prime Minister. How that's going to work, Bahamians? With one person in both offices. You see how insanity develops? You give the two most powerful positions in the Constitution and in the Cabinet to one person. That's a recipe for insanity. But we just let it happen. We don't do nothing about it. Now, there's nothing in the Constitution that says it cannot happen. Don't misunderstand me. Because I've said to you many times on this radio station, the office of Prime Minister is like a gigantic octopus that spreads its tentacles into every single facet of Bahamian life, right into your bedroom. You don't believe that, eh? You stay right there and sit and not believe it, because it's true, Bahamians. The office of Prime Minister is so broad and so all-encompassing. Reaches right into your bedroom. Somebody tap you on the shoulder, wake up. And you say, who touched me? I'm representing the boss. Come, let's go. Don't wait till it happens, Bahamians, because it can. The office is extremely powerful. Everything done by the particular personality in the office is not constitutionally sound. Let me make that very clear. But the office of Prime Minister is all-encompassing. And the only people who have the authority for the checks and balances are those very same cronies you see sitting in the House of Assembly. Those cronies are looking for what? A position, chairman of a board, minister of this, state minister of that, which is crap. Nothing in the Constitution speaks about state ministers. Parliamentary secretaries, yes, you got a couple of them. But now one smart aleck decides he's going to create state ministers. And we let them get away with the crap. There's no such thing as no state minister. Check your Constitution. That's why our country is so frigged up today. Because we allow all this crap for 52 friggin' years to go on unchecked. So they take you for granted. And everybody believes, oh, that's the way it should go. But it's not constitutional behavior. And you're paying out big money for state ministers, big money for office for them, big money for benefits for them traveling up and down all over the place. And where is the benefit for the Bahamian people? That's dealing with the cabinet now. The point is, we have to put some controls in place, Bahamians, because we cannot continue this crap for another 52 years. We just can't. Otherwise, we won't have a nation. That's how serious it is right now as I speak to you today. That's why in this show we want to analyze the 5 prime ministers, personalities who sat in the top office, head of government. Sir Lyndon Pinling was there 25 years and 9 months. That's almost half of the time we were an independent nation, 52 years. Of course, he was premier, then he became prime minister, July the 10th, 1973. But maybe you don't watch these things. Then after him came Mr. Ingram. Mr. Ingram was there for 2 terms. He wanted 2 terms. Then he was greedy and he wanted 3 terms. So after 2 terms, they kicked him out and put Mr. Christie in. Mr. Christie got his first term as prime minister. He managed to get a 2nd term. So he spent 10 years. Mr. Ingram spent 15 years because he came back after Christie. Then he wanted a 4th term. The people say, no, you can't get no 4th term. So they stopped him. This is what happens when you give people too much authority and too much power. Check their egos, Bahamians. These fellas go on ego trip, you know, because they have authority in their hand. But you and I could keep them in check, you know. Even if those fellas in the House of Assembly don't do nothing, we could do something about it. That's the beauty of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is why I strongly believe in this document. But you have to believe it too and act on it. Because plenty of you call these shows and you grumble and complain, woe is me, and say you all want a Donald Trump. Give me a break. We're not a part of the United States of America. We're not a county. We're not a city of the United States of America. I look to God. Amen. You ought to do the same thing. God is the God of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, not Donald Trump. But someone appealed to him very strongly yesterday. And then I reminded myself when I was laying in my bed early this morning, and I remembered when Sir Lyndon said he went to America. I've come to America. So I said, let me deal with the 5 prime ministers today. So the lines are open, 326-0272, 326-0271. I don't know if it's still on. 813-0271. That's another line. We're talking about the 5 prime ministers. What were their roles when they were in office. And this current one, we can talk about that one too. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the
break. Express yourself live. We'll return. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. I have to address some of these comments that's coming on Facebook. It would appear as if there's a lack of understanding, and I'm going to be very straightforward today with it because I'm talking about the 5 prime ministers of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and I'm opening up the lines wide open for anyone to comment on all of them or any one of them. You gave them 52 years, Bahamians. I'd have been running this place. Now, where are we today as a result of them running this place? You have to look at the record of all of them. Caller, you're live on here. Go ahead, please. Caller, you there? Caller, go ahead.
Yes. Professor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In reference to forming the government, is it not the party that has the most representatives get to form the party get to form the government?
That's a good question that you asked.
Is that correct?
I can answer that constitutionally. The Constitution says for the office of Prime Minister, the person who commands the majority of the members of that house at that particular time. That's clear-cut in your Constitution. The leader of the party. that commands the majority of the members of that house, referring to the House of Assembly.
Right.
That
So
person
it's
would be
the
recommended.
party that has the majority of MPs. They get to form the government, right?
No, listen carefully. Listen carefully. See, the wording is maybe a little tricky. The leader of the party that commands the majority of the members of that house, meaning the House of Assembly. In other words, that particular leader of that particular party must command the majority of the members of that House of Assembly at that particular time. That's how that one becomes the prime minister or recommended to be the prime minister. Number two, if that is absent, the person, the singular individual person who is a member of the House of Assembly, in the judgment of the Governor General, that particular personality commands the majority of the members of that house at that particular time. Those are the two ways a person can become the prime minister. Now, in our case, it has been the first one, all right? Because the leader of the particular party. The problem in our country is the Bahamian people fail to understand. You give a particular political party an overwhelming majority of seats in the House, you create a massive imbalance. You have no balance. You see the way how it is now, 32-4, 32-7, and prior to that, 35-4. What is the electorate saying?
Okay.
What do you want?
So then, Professor, let me
Yeah,
try
go
to
ahead.
get this then. Let's say, we have these three parties that are running.
You have three parties now in the House.
Right, three parties in the House that's running. Let's just say one of the parties have 15 representatives. Let's say one have 11, and let's say one have 9, right? That's three. Each party have different amount of members in the House.
That would be 35.
Of the party that has the 15 members, is that the party that would be the governing party of the country?
Not
because
necessarily.
they have the most members?
No,
Is
not
that right or
necessarily.
wrong?
No, it would come. See, if it's the leader of the party that commands the majority of the members of that house. Now, you may have some independent persons in that house that may support that particular personality who is the leader of that particular party. That is possible. But the analogy that you just drew up, even though they have 15, they may still not necessarily command the majority of the members of that house. The particular personality, let me get it right now. See, it's the leader of the party that commands the majority of the members of that house. You have 39 in there. As long as the majority of that 39 says and puts his name in to become the prime minister, that's how he becomes the prime minister.
Okay. All right. So then let's go back to my numbers. Let's say the PLP have 15, the FNM has 9, and COI have 11. Now it's time to form the government.
15
right?
plus 9 is how
We
much?
got 3 parties in there.
How many seats you have there now?
No, we have 39, but it's just my little scenario.
Okay, all right,
numbers,
okay. Go ahead, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So let's say one party have 15. The
Yes.
other parties have 11 and 9.
Yes.
Let's say I don't think that the other 2 parties, if it's their representative, will join up with the party that has the most.
Okay.
The larger number of members.
Yes.
Then the member party that has the most, 15, do they get to form the government? Because they have more representatives than the other 2 parties?
But the Constitution doesn't say that.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
The Constitution says the leader of the party that commands the majority of the members of that house. You got 15,
Right.
but 15 is not a majority. So you might have an impasse there, and some, that's the one who got the 15, they're close. So it would be sensible for them, whoever the leader is, to talk to some of these other people to get their support so he may fill the office of prime minister. That would be sensible to do. Because you're going to have an impasse. So it has to be settled one way or the other.
Right. But it would have to be then that they link up to get to the majority
of the members of that house, yes. That's the only way it can work. Or in the absence of that, you could have another twist to it.
Okay.
You may have that particular member who sits in the House of Assembly at that particular time. When the Governor General looks at it, in his mind, he has to make a judgment whether that particular member, who is not the leader of a particular political party, has the majority of the members of that house. He commands the majority of the members of that house. That individual can become the prime minister. There are only two options we have in the Constitution. And that's the only way it can go. Yes, ma'am.
One more thing, Professor, in reference to the illegal migration.
Yes.
And this thing now with the United States, especially with the Haitian community.
Yes, ma'am.
They have been asked to leave the state.
Oh, yes.
Now, I was watching one of the shows yesterday, and it was in reference to the Bahamians on the island of Andros.
Okay.
And the people in Andros is saying that they're having such a problem with illegals who are building shanty towns again.
Yes, ma'am.
And the illegals are basically threatening the Bahamians.
Yes.
And the Bahamians down there are saying, and even the police officer and other persons in authority is saying that they have complained about the situation in Andros, but they're not getting any help from the government.
Okay.
Now, if we have this problem on the island of Andros, as we have on many islands here.
Yes, ma'am.
And the local local governments down there are asking for help from Nassau.
Yes.
And Nassau isn't sending any help.
Okay.
Where the people in Andros are saying that some of them are afraid to even speak out because they're now afraid of, for them being attacked.
Yes, ma'am.
And the one lady was saying how the Haitian man said to her, he'll call brave. I don't understand how these people could be throwing out the prime minister's name, just give them a minute, they can call up brave, and he's supposed to fix it for them.
Oh.
I just don't get it. Our people on our islands now are afraid to speak out because of all of this illegalness.
Yes, ma'am.
Illegal people who shouldn't be in our country.
Yes.
I have a family member at the airport in Nassau. And you know what she said, Professor?
Yes, ma'am.
That plane comes in 3 times a week from Haiti full of people, but it goes out basically empty.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're bringing in, but we're not sending out.
Yes.
Now, if you're coming to a country on vacation, and if you're filling out the necessary form, it always asks you where you're staying, how long you're going to be in the country, Where is the Haitian tourism for the Bahamas? What are they contributing in terms of visitors to our country? That's what I don't understand.
That's an interesting question.
They're not bringing anything. I don't see Haitian tourism in the Bahamas. They're coming looking for something.
Yes, ma'am.
They're not bringing anything to help in terms of coming to visit, purchase, look around, and then leave. That's not what they are about. And it looks like Mr. Davis just don't understand that. And you know something? He does understand it, but he wants this to continue. He wants these people to, and I think Mr. Davis is not being honest with the Bahamian people. I am sure with Mr. Biden before he left office, Mr. Brave Davis has signed some type of agreement with them. He has gotten monies from the state to let these people come into our country. I honestly feel that.
Yes, ma'am.
That he must have been, they have given him so much, thousands of dollars to allow these folks to come into our country. But because it cannot be that every week people are in the papers, 15, 20, 30 persons every week in the newspaper requesting citizenship. The
Yeah, it's
planes
very
are coming
strange.
full, nobody's leaving. Where are all of these people supposed to go? And what's going to happen when Mr. Trump starts sending these ones from here out of his country?
Yes.
It's like we just have open borders and nobody is addressing our situation. I must say, Mr. Bain, I give him credit because at least he is speaking out in reference to illegal immigration.
Yes.
Nobody, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Attorney General, Mr. Monroe, none of them will get in front of the camera and say anything in reference to illegal immigration. And for all of these people who are being allowed to come into our country, they're changing their names, they're taking on our names, they're building wherever they want to build. And for us, Bahamians, to put up even a wall in front of our home, we got to go get permits.
That's correct.
But these people could put up their little houses wherever they want to, unabated by our government.
Yes.
Bahamians, vote the PLP out of office. Vote F&Ms out of office because they've been there long enough. They've been able to fix this, and they're so much of a coward, they won't even address it. Bahamians, change this government. And Mr. Davis is borrowing money here, there, and everywhere. Millions of dollars. We, the taxpayers, got to pay that back, Bahamians.
Hundreds of millions.
Millions, 400 million coming up now.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is going to pay this money back? Bahamians, this is another debt that's going on the back of you, your children, and your grandchildren. These people have no accountability. They won't even explain anything to the Bahamian people. Vote them out of office. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you for your comments. And Bahamians, you heard what the lady said. You have to take note of what's going on in your country. Unfortunately, the government of the Bahamas has been violating the Constitution for 52 years. That may sound hard, but it's true. We have hardcore evidence to prove it. This kind of abuse is at its peak now, where they're so hardened and so stubborn and so wicked that they are doing it blatantly in front of your face. But there's a way to stop them, We can stop them today. We don't have to wait for no election. We can stop them today, right now, today. But are you ready for that kind of action? Because we don't have to put up, and I agree with everything that the lady said. Because the thing is, you cannot continue to allow the government of the Bahamas to continue to have people coming in here never returning back, coming in with passports, coming in with fraudulent documents, and sitting up in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. The aim is that could stop today. Are we ready for that? Are we ready for serious action? Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Professor. Let me say what I have to say, right? I was saying we can cry out to Mr. Trump to help us with this illegal immigration, but we can have 500 Donald Trumps, 500 Adolf Hitlers if we as Bahamians are not serious. The problem is not the illegal immigrants. The problem is the politicians who bringing them here and whatever have you. No outside source can solve these problems if the people who we have in power or who vying to be in power want the illegals here. And the public, if we see which way we're heading, the people who are bringing them here, who we give power to, we as a group, as a nation, can say to those people, we didn't put you here to populate our country with immigrants and do the necessary steps to stop it. We cannot blame the immigrants. We have to blame the people who we put in power or who vying to get in power, who bringing these people in. Because no country in the world you can go in there and stay in there forever.
Thank you for your comment. Bahamians, this is a very serious problem. It's a constitutional issue. And we have to take it very seriously, particularly immigration, illegal immigration, the issuance of certificates of citizenship, which are fraudulent. They're not constitutionally sound, but yet you have a lot of people with fake papers where they are purported to be citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and being added to the voter registration list. That is a very serious issue. And Bahamians, it is possible to deal with it. Now, there are those who say we need outside help. Scripture says, ask and you will receive. So we have that to work with. When the authorities in your country refuse, as it is now in the Bahamas, to take appropriate action to deal with national issues, and they haven't done so in 52 years. This didn't just start yesterday. The government of the Bahamas has been allowed to get away with too much crap. They feel emboldened now that they could do it. But they're up for a rude awakening. God has a special place for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We need his divine intervention. Now, there are some things that you and I have to do. And it gives you very specific, clear-cut instructions as to how to go about choosing the right persons to be represented in the House of Assembly. And as a result of that, the right persons to sit in the cabinet and the right persons to sit in the Senate. We're not following his instructions. He tells you plainly what would happen if you have wicked people running things. He tells you plainly what would happen if you have righteous people running things. And the scripture says, when the righteous are in authority. Are the righteous in authority today? See, all these factors you have to consider when you go to the polls, Bahamians. Are you putting in a righteous person to represent you in the House of Assembly? Yes or no? That means you have to be sufficiently educated about that particular personality. Is that a personality, a fraudster, a homosexual, a lesbian, a drunkard, a womanizer or a manizer? You got them all mixed up today, you know. One pretending to be what they are not. Some say they're in a the wrong body. They need to get out of this body and become something else. See, these are the kind of funny things that are in the heads of people who want to run things. They are bold and wicked and evil right in your face. And we have an opportunity to do something about it. We cannot afford to let this opportunity slip from our hands because we may not have a country. You heard what the last caller said. She doesn't blame the illegal aliens, but I do. You don't belong here in the first place. That's number one. You have no place in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The only place for you is your own country, which God gave you. He has given every single person in the world a nation to be in. So why the heck are you in somebody else's place? Causing trouble, causing confusion. We have enough problems with the people who we have who are citizens. And you got some fraudsters in our midst purporting to be citizens. We haven't checked out their nationality. We haven't checked out their background. We haven't done enough of that. And so you have some strangers, some foreigners, some aliens, some outsiders sitting up high in your country. And we seem as if we are not able to get rid of them. Baby, that can't be so. If we are serious, we could get rid of them today. You got to wait for tomorrow. We can do it right now, today, Bahamians. So we have to figure out in our minds how serious we are, how vexed we are, how mad we are. Are we angry enough to do something about these things? Or are we going to just keep complaining because we understand now these people are so stubborn and so wicked and so evil? They're not listening. My ma always would tell me, if you don't listen, you will feel. We've got to make them feel, Bahamians. And there's several things you can do to make that happen. And make it extremely difficult, extremely uncomfortable for them. They wouldn't want to even stay in office anymore. But we got to get to that point, Bahamians. Because we have some stubborn, wicked people running things in this place. All available evidence prove it. That's why some are calling for Donald Trump to come and assist us and help us. God says, ask and you will receive. So I'm not knocking those who call, say they want America, like one particular talk show host did that yesterday. I have no difficulty with that. But see, I calling on God to help us because I know God could do the work. But we have our part to do as well. And God said, here's some things I want you to do. Are we prepared to do it? Then he'll act on our behalf. He will back us up. But we can't be in the devil's camp and expect God to help us. It's not going to work that way. We have to separate ourselves from the wickedness, from the lies, from the crap that is being out there. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson. I hear the music in the background. The lines open. Do not forget, we're talking about the prime ministers, today. All 5 of them. And then next week, we can talk about the cabinets that were under those 5 prime ministers. And then in another show next week, I'm going to deal with immigration. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, and some of you Facebook people are asking me some very choppy questions. I don't have no problem with the questions. Someone asked me, say, Professor, how can we stop the government of the Bahamas? Can we stop them today? The answer is yes, we can. The government of the Bahamas has been violating the Constitution for 52 years. Do you understand how serious that is, Bahamians? I didn't say a political party, you know. I said the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Those whom you elected to run and those whom were appointed to do the national business of this country are the violators of the Constitution. That's in a nutshell, Bahamians. Every living one of them. Appointed ones and elected ones are all responsible for the crap that you have in this country. They have been acting not in accordance with the Constitution, which means that the government is invalid. You cannot continue to reign over people by violating the Constitution because you don't have any authority to do it. That's the crux of the matter, Bahamians. The same Nationality Act, which they've been playing with from day one, is not even constitutionally sound. That's the crux of the matter. It was supposed to come into effect July the 10th, 1973, passed in the Bahama Islands Parliament when we were a colony. They have been going contrary to the Constitution for 52 years from day one right on up to now. And we as the electors in this country have allowed it to continue because we never challenged the government of the Bahamas, except for a few individuals who decided to take up the challenge. And the matter is before the court. And the court has not yet responded to that issue. That's just one aspect of it. That's not all of it, you know. There are some other things you as citizens can do to deal with a stubborn government that fails to carry out its constitutional authority. It's right there in the document. This is how you people do not even understand the kind of power, the kind of authority that you have in that document. Now, I am restrained. I'm not even using 5% of my constitutional authority. Do you know that? I want to carry it up higher. Article 24.1 restrains Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. For those who want to know, that's why I told you I need your support. You can't sit there and say, okay, Professor, you're doing a good work. And that's all you do? You think that can change anything? While I appreciate you listening, I appreciate you understanding that, you're taking in rock solid information that's accurate and precise, because you ain't get nothing else. When you hear me say it on this radio station, that's the way it is. And anybody wants to challenge me on what I say, fine, go ahead and do that. Because you're going to find it is constitutionally sound. I will never ask you to do anything that is not constitutionally sound. Now you know you need big numbers, right? Because numbers are very important when you're talking about elections. 50% plus 1% in each constituency. Once you're able to achieve that, you win that particular constituency, you're eligible to sit in the House of Assembly. And of course, as I told you early in this show, how a prime minister is chosen. But you got some appointed personalities. Now listen. God says in Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Now, are you prepared to listen to God or not? Are we rejoicing in this country today or not? But he also tells us in that same verse, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Are the people mourning throughout the length and breadth of the Commonwealth of Bahamas? Yes or no? Are they rejoicing throughout the length and breadth of the Commonwealth of Bahamas? They're the most happy people on the planet. Is that happening, Bahamians? See, God tells you what the result would be. If you have righteous people in authority, this is what happens. You have a bunch of wicked suckers in authority, this is what happens. The results are right there. Now you make up your mind whether you want to continue in this crappy foolishness that we're experiencing today. All kinds of problems. Immigration matters are extremely hefty on this country. And you have a government that is hell-bent on bringing in strangers, foreigners, aliens, outsiders, and adding them to this country. You any such foolishness like that? But it's been going on for some time. For 52 years, it's been going on. But we didn't notice it. We ain't paying no attention to it. Now, it's a major, colossal problem. But we can stop it. We ain't got to put up with it. But enough of you have to understand that that's what it is. And then we can take appropriate action. But if you keep your mouth shut and you're scared, I want my voice be heard, I scared of that particular personality over there. He might not give me one contract. I might not get a plate of food from him. Give me a break. The point is, Bahamians, if you trust in God and believe him when he tells you, you put wicked people to run things, you will keep mourning for the next 52 years. Just as simple as that. Listen to him and make good choices in choosing a government, in choosing a representative. Not these crappy people, these political parties are sending to you and say, hey, vote for this person. You don't even know if they got the right name on them. You don't know whether that person is a fake or a fraud. You don't know whether that person is a homosexual or a lesbian. You don't know whether that is a child molester. But these are the kind of people who are being put forth. And you got some people who back that kind of crap. That's what you're getting, Bahamian. What you think this AI crap is all about? It's fraud, Bahamians. And some people are already complaining now about it. But I don't have to complain about it because I trust in God. God tells you the qualification. Righteousness exalts a nation, not AI, not fraud, not wickedness, not corruption. A lot of you use the word corruption, but I like to use wicked and righteous. They're God's terms. Of course, wicked people are corrupt people too. So if you want to see change in your country, you must make sure that the person elected in your particular constituency is a righteous person. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Because there will be some who will come at you and they are full of wickedness. They don't mean you no good. Some have already proven that they don't mean you no good. So you can discard them. You ain't got to even check for them. Just throw them to the one side. Those whom you've already tested and tried and proven, you know they're no good. So why the heck are you fooling around with them? You've got to make an alternative, Bahamians. That's why God tells you, you need people who are going to be like Jesus, who took and set the example. And tell me if you could find politicians like this. Jesus left heaven and came down and became poor for you and me so we could be rich. Do you know that? Not to stay poor and weak and insignificant. He took on all of our sins, all of our sicknesses, all of our diseases. That's why you don't have to be sick anymore. Because he paid the penalty for that heart disease. He paid the penalty for that. You can't walk no more. You're lame. He paid the penalty for your blindness, even though some people say blindness is hereditary. So what do you think Christ went through that for? Just to play games? That's a serious matter, Bahamians, because it involves you and me. Do you believe him? Well, then, if the fellow want to be your representative, he must take those burdens on his back in that particular constituency and carry it to the House of Assembly and say, listen, we got to get these things fixed. And then you go along with him or with her. And if you got to raise hell in that house to get it done, then you do just that. Because we've been sitting for too long, 52 years, just sitting right there, and now we got a bunch of crap to clean up. Either we're going to listen to God, because he tells you, he that is great among you must be your slave. Do you understand what that means? You take the burdens of the people on your back and deal with them. That is what a representative does. That is what the head of government ought to be doing. That is what the cabinet ought to be doing. And they work at it day and night around the clock. But do you see that happening? I believe you have a caller on the line. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good afternoon, Professor. How you doing?
Yeah.
Good.
Do you have any leaders right now?
Professor, please, sir. I have something on my mind. I call you too. If you give me a question right now, I'll forget what I called you to talk about.
Let me withdraw the question.
Sorry, if you want to talk, I'll call back.
No. I'll let you talk since you're on air.
Yes. And I know, sir, you're in the spirit, and I feel you. But you set me in the spirit also, you see.
Okay, go ahead and comment.
When you, based on the late
I believe he is
cabinet ministers, this is something that's going on, seems to be beyond the scope or the control of the Bahamian people.
Okay.
And you said just now, when I was listening, because I had to turn you off so I could keep my thoughts, you see. So I'd cut off my reception over here.
Okay.
The thing is, Professor, the Bahamian people, we call them the organic, the indigenous and all that, but these people have fallen so far from God. And every day you mention God on this show in alliance with the Constitution.
Yes.
But
I'm not hearing Mr. Producer. I don't know. Maybe we've lost him. Caller, you'll have to call back because we're not getting any feedback from you. The point is, Bahamians, we are a nation under God. We have strayed from God, but God is willing to forgive us if we repent of our sins, because he can't tolerate sin. Even though we have strayed as far as the east is from the west, as far as the north is from the south, God is willing to forgive us and give us a new slate, a new clean slate. Do you want that? Or you want to keep piling up sin on top of sin on top of sin until God say, I got to kill all of y'all in here? Because that's what he's going to do. You won't be around anymore. I wouldn't want to see that happen. So every day that God gives us is an opportunity to do better, to look at the problems that we have and ask for his guidance and his assistance and do exactly and precisely what he says. He that is greatest among you must be your slave. Do you understand what that means? Because Christ became our slave and took all of the sicknesses, all of the diseases, all of the sins, all of the abominations, all of the filth, all of the crap, and nailed it on the cross and paid the penalty, which is eternal damnation. So that means you and I don't have to pay that penalty. If he didn't do that, then all of us would be dead. Do you think our leaders are prepared to do that? Take that kind of sacrifice? So when you go into the polls, you got to think about these things, Bahamians. You just voting for a person with a particular label on their backside, and you think that's going to help you? Give me a break, man. 52 years has proven it over and over and over again. It's time the Bahamian people repent of that wickedness because it hasn't worked. And the people keep coming over and over and over again. And I've heard it all the time on the other shows. But God is not in their knowledge. That's the problem. God says, I'll turn you over to all kind of foolishness. You don't want me involved? Fine. I'll let you have all the crap. And that's what we've been getting. Nonsense and foolishness and bad decisions by the government of this country. And now we're in our worst state ever. But Bahamians, we could get it cleaned up. We can work with God and get it done. God said he'll help us, you know. He will send help for us. He said, ask and you will receive. Are you prepared to ask him to help us, to run this country, to run it right, to get the right people in place? That's what we need to think about, Bahamians, because we cannot continue the way we're going now. We already know that because you keep complaining about it every day. Now, what the heck are you prepared to do about it? Because God doesn't like people complaining all the time. When he gives you clear-cut instruction, here's what I want you to do, and you don't do it. The Constitution says, here's what you can do, and you don't do it. So what do you think is going to happen? Maybe you got to know your Constitution. Your Constitution makes reference to God. And there are some specific things that the Constitution says the nation has to be dealing with. National commitments to do some very specific things. Have we done those things? Have we strayed away from those things? Yes, we have. Big time. And so you see tremendous lawlessness in our country. And we just sit right there day after day after day. We see it on the streets, Bahamians. When I go out, I see it on the streets. There is no law and order on the streets of New Providence. And also, we have trouble in the Family Islands. And you're not paying attention to the large number of accidents, what are purported as accidents in this country. You're not paying attention to that. You're not paying attention to the large number of people who are dying at Doctors Hospital, Princess Margaret Hospital, Sandilands Hospital, the Rand Memorial Hospital. And in addition to that, people who are dying in those houses, those shacks, those homes, wealthy homes and middle-income homes and poor homes. You're not paying attention to those things. All you have is death, mayhem, and destruction. And yet you're not prepared to turn to God and ask him to help us. But there are some, like I say, they want Donald Trump. You go and ask for Donald Trump then. I'm not knocking you for that. Because the book says, ask and you will receive. But I know one thing. If we ask God, he's going to send us help. From people who you won't believe you will get the help. He will just put it in their spirit. Go and help the Bahamas. And they just show up on your doorstep and say, I'm here to help you. I was sent here to help you. Are we prepared to do that, Bahamians? We got to get serious because our very lives are at stake. We're in deep trouble. We see what is happening. We see what is happening in countries all around the world. You're going to wait until we get like it's in Gaza. We're going to wait till we get like it's in Sudan. People are being slaughtered every living day. You think we could go through that kind of crap? We could be wiped out in a day or two, and it's over. But God has been merciful to us because he's listening to the prayers of some righteous people who are praying for this country. They've been doing it for a long time. You don't hear nothing about them. And so you're going to find that you hear about the criminals, you hear about the wickedness, you hear about the corruption. And then I must also add, when I hear these nice stories about, I remember the incident with the 3 young men who died on Samala Butler Highway, and the nice things they said about these particular individuals who were out early in the morning, in the early 20s, before 2 o'clock in the morning. What were they doing out that kind of time? And they must have been speeding on that highway and just crashed into a tree. And the 3 of them died. They were all related to one family. That's sad. What are you doing out that kind of time? Speeding, going where? Were they running from someone? Were they rushing to get home? Why do you have to go at a high rate of speed? And you look at it and you ask the question, what were these 3 young males doing out? Yes, they were of age, no problem, but they're dead. So national insurance can't collect nothing from them. They even hurt national insurance. These young people who are supposed to be the future of this country are disappearing right under our feet. And I'm trying to get them to get as young as I am. And when you get as young as I am, there's only one more decision you make. I'm sticking around till the man come back. Because some of you don't want to go nowhere. You're rushing straight in the grave. Look like you want to keep company with the dead. And the dead people don't know anything. They can't communicate with you. They can't talk to you. You can't praise God. You cannot thank God in the grave. He tells you that. The dead know not anything, and we are losing too many of our young men. And even the young women, the women sitting on their porch, they had no fan, so they were sitting on the porch trying to catch the cool, 10 o'clock in the evening. And the 3 of them were shot. One died on the spot. The other woman and the youngster is in hospital. These are serious things, Bahamians. And these things happen, and all we do is gloss over it and just saunter off and say, that's another one. You can wait until it happened to you, and then you start crying out, you start complaining. And you know the police are hard pressed to protect us, you know. And I told you about the station right near where I live. They don't give us no protection. And if the residents need to call the police, they got to call somebody else because them fellas ain't doing nothing. They're a bunch of louses. The thing is, Bahamians, we have problems in this country, very serious problems. We have to fix them. But if we aren't listening to sound advice to get them fixed, we'll continue suffering. So you don't have to be sitting up in them people hospital. And some of you are doing things to your bodies that you should not do, and yet you think it's okay. But those actions, you have to pay a price for that, a very serious price. So, Bahamians, we got to be careful. And we must exercise good judgment, sound decisions, and good judgment. We have to do that. And so that's important. I think I hear the music in the background. Mr. Bruce, this isn't the end of the show. Oh, I'm going to the last break. Last break. Oh, go into the last. Well, I'm glad I got some more time. Bahamians, the lines are still open 326-0272, 813-0271. I don't know, Mr. Bruce, if our voice line is operating 326-0271. If you can't get on that one, 326-0272. Bahamians, let's get serious about this place, man. I love the Bahamas. I want to stay here until the man come back. I don't want to go to them other people's place. The Bahamas is the best place in the world to live. Yes, we got our problems. We could solve every single one of them. All we have to do is elect righteous people to run this place, and we'll keep rejoicing until Christ comes back. That's the best message I could give you today. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
Myra Sensitive.
done. But you call me and let me know. We need sponsors for the show. Every single day, we need sponsors for this show. You want Professor to stay on air, but then you have to support Professor. It's just that simple, Bahamians. You can't just say, oh, you're doing a good job, and that's the end of the matter. No, Bahamians, it don't work that way. No, 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 no. We have a caller? I think we have a caller on the show, on the line. Caller, you live on there. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead, please.
Professor.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, the more you talk about this immigration thing, the more certain things resonate in my mind.
Yes, ma'am.
If I am on a power seat of a country, I call the shots. Why would I be flooding that country with people from another country who have no entitlement? Why would I do it? Am I being fair to myself and to the people who put me in that power seat? What is the purpose of me flooding that country with people from other country who have no entitlement, but I just want to put them in a country that people trusted me and put me in a power seat to govern their business? That's not right. Why would I do it? How would the citizens react? Why aren't the citizens talking about it? What can the citizens do to stop me? What is the gist of all of it? What is the crux? What do I hope to accomplish by giving away a country that people put me in the power seat to protect for them?
Is that it, caller?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for your call. I can appreciate what she's saying, but I am saying to you now, Bahamians, we ain't got to even answer those questions. Why he wants to do this. Because what he's doing is unconstitutionally sound. Okay? That's enough for me. And we can stop him today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Right now, today, if we're serious about it, we could stop him today. Are we ready for that? Are we ready for some unusual constitutional action against the government of the Bahamas? Are you ready for that? Because Bahamians, that's what's going to end up being. And I'm not going to disparage what the lady said. She asked those questions. That's how she sees it. She has that view. But I get right to the core of it. We don't have to put up with the crap that the government of the Bahamas is doing right now. Today, we can stop him. We have the constitutional authority to do it, Bahamians. Are we ready for that? Or are we going to sit in the corner and peep around the window and see who's outside and talk all this talk around the water cooler and around, well, some may eat dinner and all that. But Bahamians, that doesn't make any sense. This is a national crisis. And the lady is right. You know, she may wonder why, but I'm not even interested in wondering why he is doing this or he's. I know he's unconstitutional. That's what I know. That's enough for me. So he has no authority over me whatsoever when he's behaving that way. I don't have to listen to him. I don't know him. You have 200,000 decide we're not going to listen to Philip Brave Davis right now. That would shut him down. Do you know that? There are times when you have to defy a government because God says plainly in his word, you turn your back on me, I will turn my back on you. You reject God, God says, I will reject you. The government of Bahamas is defiant in doing things that are not constitutionally sound, then the citizenry could be defiant against that government and defy them in every single way. We haven't done that yet, Bahamians. We just sit quietly and take the crap. That's why they believe you like the crap what they're doing. There comes a time, Bahamians, when you have to be very defiant. And that time is now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now, today. But are you ready for that? I have already told you I'm not even using 5% of my constitutional authority. I am constrained by the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And there are some specific reasons for that. The thing is, you need to know what your Constitution says, what powers it gives you, to make sure that we have peace, safety, security in this country. And if the leaders go sour, there's a way to deal with that. We don't have to put up with it. We don't have to tolerate it. I don't understand the way how some of us think. While people will call to show and express their views, the question I ask, after you've done that, what is it you're prepared to do about it? And all of a sudden you get deafening silence. That doesn't make any sense, payments. There are some specific things we must do which are constitutionally sound. You cannot depend on the government to do it. It has never been done in 52 years. You think it's be done today? Unless there is some unusual action taken by the citizens of this country. That will change it. Now we have the power to do that. And God can help us if we're prepared to trust him. Because he say, ask him, come to him, listen to him, take his advice. Are we ready for that, Bahamians? Because there are some specific things God will tell you, this is what I want you to do. 2 Chronicles 7:14 comes to mind. If my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves. That's the first thing. Pray, seek his face. And then there's a fourth part. We haven't done that yet, you know. Turn from your wicked ways. Just like the government of Bahamas has wicked ways. They're unrepentant. They're not reliable. They've been faking around for 52 years, Bahamians. That's an unrepentant attitude, and the problems have been getting worse and worse and worse. Till up to date, they are the worst it has ever been. So you are justified to take action to stop it. Now you have to be organized for that kind of action. And it has to be constitutionally sound. That's why every time when I say something, I use the Constitution as my base and the Holy Bible as my base. So I'll never be wrong. I got the Constitution and I got the Holy Bible. And they're never wrong. They never mislead you or deceive you. But listen to this crap from these political parties. That will mislead you and deceive you. And the people have been deceived. But you don't have to be deceived, Bahamians. Just like when God told Adam, if you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will die. You will surely die. And the wicked devil came and said, you shall not surely die. Just the word not changed the whole subject. And so our mother and father believed him at that time. And people have been dying ever since, right on up to the day. You see what happens when you're disobedient? Wickedness destroys. Righteousness exalts a nation. International Anthem said, your banners waving high. See how the world marks the man of your bury. Have we forgotten what the national anthem says? Are we living it? Are we practicing it? Till the road you trod leads unto your God, the God of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Are we ready for that, Bahamians? Or we just talk it, but we ain't serious about having God in our knowledge. We have to have it, Bahamians. This is reality. While we may have friendly relations with different nations around the world, nothing wrong with that. But you can't expect to go against God and expect God to help you. That ain't gonna work. You expect to be living in sin and wickedness and corruption and expect to have a better country. That's why I've said 51% or more of the people in a particular constituency must, not if, must become righteous in their dealings one with another. Then that particular constituency is headed for progress. Because every time you move to solve a problem and it is solved, you need a buffer. Because the enemy may bring people in there to upset what you would have done. So that 51% or more being righteous in that particular constituency will deter the others from doing foolishness and nonsense. But there's nothing to deter it, then what? The whole thing all broke up. And then you wonder, well, what happened? This place never used to be like this. But look what it has become. A den of thieves, robbers, liars, homosexuals, lesbians. Huh? That's what you want? You want a gangsters and then want to talk about gangsterism? I'm not interested in gangsters running the country. I'm interested in righteous people running the country. That's what I want voters to understand. God says righteous people will cause you to rejoice. You put a bunch of vagabonds in there and fugitives, you ain't got no rejoicing. Not under those circumstances. So why don't we try God this time around when you go to the polls? Let's give God a chance. And we're going to be rejoicing from the day we give him a chance right on up to the coming of Christ. They got to worry about nothing after that. Because you will have people who will take on the same way Jesus took on, setting an example for us. You want to be the leader? Fine. Now you must be the slave of every single one in that particular constituency. See if any of those politicians out there want that. Check them out. And see if they're prepared to take on those burdens in that particular constituency and get them solved. That's why Jesus went to the cross and paid his perfect life so you and I could live. So you don't need to be laying up in Princess Margaret Hospital and Doctors Hospital and Sandlands Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital, and if you ain't in them, maybe you're homesick. Because he said, I heal all your diseases. Are you prepared to trust God for healing? I had gone through a situation just recently. And I know it was divine healing. I know that for a fact. But how many of you are prepared to do that? Now, those who want to go to the hospital, you could do that. I'm not knocking you for going there. But if that's the way you see it, then you go there. The hospital is overflowing with sick people. The people are what is the purpose of a hospital? Maybe I got to find out what's the purpose of Princess Margaret Hospital. What's the purpose of Doctors Hospital? What's the purpose of the Rand Memorial Hospital? Is it there to get people well? We got the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Where's the wellness? Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good afternoon, Professor.
Hey, what you say, man?
And good afternoon, Bahamas.
Yes.
Hey, Professor, what are the man for Tingham say? Life is key. He deal with both parties. But I say this, Professor, I call it say this. This was, I see Trump did something. He should not do it. I ain't with it. I didn't get to see it. My friend showed it to me. He tell me what it. I can Google it. That was wrong what he did. But I looking at our leaders, I looking at them cross-eyed. Trump gone make us say, I ain't see it yet. I looking for it. My friend said he can send it to me. Trump gone and make a law. Anybody sending money, he grabbing it and sending it over the country. I say he say sign a law. I didn't see it yet. I say that's so simple, but that's a little cold, no. But Professor, let me say, whenever you see them go back to do these treaties signing with these big hotels and these big thingum, I wonder if they could put in like what they do to that big hotel, teach our young kids how to swim. I think that was an awesome thing. Next time they try the treaty, let's see. Okay, you could put a little something in there. Every summer you could teach the young people how to swim and teach them a little trade around the place. That's all I got for the day.
Okay, all right. He's fascinated by the fact that a particular hotel, not hospital, but a particular hotel, out of the abundance of money that they make, decide to do something to help children to swim, which is fine. I won't say anything against that. But he's fascinated over that, and perhaps he'd like to see more of that happen. And that's fine. I'm looking at something much bigger than that, because these particular personalities can do much more than that. But that's what has been done so far. We have to look beyond that. And the fellow in Lightfoot Key who say he support the two parties, well, that's his choice. Even though he support them doesn't mean they have to win an election. Do you understand that? Because see, the money that they send to the parties never come to you. You don't ever benefit from it. You may get some chicken, you may get some rice, you may get some pork chop or that kind of crap, and you eat it, and you may get something to drink. What else? The money never comes to you. That's for that particular personality who wants some contracts. When either of the parties win, he gets his payback. That's why he does that. You think he's doing it for you and me? The answer is no. And that's what you have to understand, Bahamians. Those kind of people are not going to be the kind of people Christ says are good for leadership. They're not. They use their money. What did Jesus tell the rich man who had plenty of money? Jesus told him the truth. Go and sell what you have. Give it to them poor people. And you will have treasure in heaven. Then when you done do that, you come and follow me. The young man said he could not do it. He didn't do it. That's fine. But guess what? He ended up losing everything that he had. He loses life, he loses possessions, he loses everything because he failed to follow what Jesus said. These physical things only last for a period of time. While it is good to have them, you don't make a God out of them. And people use their physical influence or their physical possessions to influence the outcome of an election. But you don't have to vote for them. You could say, I'm not voting for that party. So let him support the two of them. And even though he may give them money, he gets nothing for his money because neither of them win. Have you ever thought about that, Bahamians? Neither of them win the election. So now he got to go deal with the parties because they don't have the government. See, it's the government of the Bahamas, and that's what you need to understand. That's the big prize of these political personalities and these political parties. They want to control the government of the Bahamas. Once they have that, they're happy, they're safe, they think everything is okay, they can do and act as they please. But you let it happen. But you don't have to let it happen, baby. You could stop them. So let them go and make their big deals with this rich person in Lightfoot Key, the next one in Old Fort Bay, the next one in Grand Bahama, the next one somewhere else. Fine, let them go ahead and do that. There came a time, January the 10th, 1967, all of that kind of crap was going on. And there were some ordinary people who overturned a government that was so set in their stubborn ways, they thought they could never lose. Today, you have a weakening. You don't have that kind of strength that existed at that time. Right now, everything is fractured. You have all kind of different groupings. Constitution allows for different groupings. Fine. I have no problem with that. Are they able to put aside their differences and elect one righteous person in every single constituency for the sake of this country, for the development of this country? Because we ain't got no development. But maybe that's what you have to do. God says only righteous people can do it. You will rejoice until Christ comes back. But if you keep putting the other people in there, Jesus tells you plainly, the wicked bear rule. You got problems? The people mourn. You make up your mind. Do you have righteous people now? Do you have a righteous parliament? Do you have a righteous government? Do you have righteous ministers? Do you have righteous senators? Or do you have wicked government, wicked senators, wicked cabinet, or what? What do you have, Damien? You answer that. And then what is it going to be when you have the opportunity to choose a government? Of course, there's some things you could do even before then. But are you ready to do that? I did tell you, you could get rid of them today, not tomorrow. You ain't got to wait for tomorrow. You can do it right now today, before 12 o'clock tonight. Are you ready for that, Damien? Can you answer that? Yes or no? Well, the Constitution gives you some unusual authority that you have not put in place yet. You've been sitting on it for 52 years. Let's use it, Damien, to get rid of the crap that we have in this country. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Have a pleasant afternoon.